Hey there, my name is Fracky. You might know me from the video that you are just about to watch. If you like me, which let's face it, you probably don't, but let's say hypothetically you liked me, then there's a chance you might want to check out the podcast I run, Spectrum FM. 5 episodes and a CSGO Let's Play are already there and waiting for you, with more episodes to come, and with amazing guests like
Square-Eyed Jack, Thor High Heels,
and of course, who could forget,
former Lost Prophets frontrunner and notorious pedophile Ian Watkins.
How could you possibly resist? Link is in the description below. The moment I said I was doing a series of videos on Call of Duty, you guys knew this was coming. In fact, you knew it was coming even before I did, because I honestly wasn't even planning on covering Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified, but then I got loads of comments about it, so here we are. So, to those quite literal 5 people asking for this video, you better be watching this, because as a result of you asking for it, I had to go out and buy this game with real, actual money, which would have been much better off spent on just about anything else in the world. Now, me being the smart individual I am, before going out and spending 15 whole real pounds on a game so notoriously bad, some even consider it one of the worst ever made, I of course made sure there was some way I could actually record footage from my Vita, instead of doing something stupid like just assuming I could. And because I don't feel like spending an extra £60 on a PlayStation TV, or $200 on a new Vita with a HDMI port in it, I had to resort to a technique that I haven't thought was a good idea since the last time I thought that haircut was a good idea, which is to say 6 years ago, and point my camera at the screen. I am so sorry. But hey, it's not all bad. Sure, you might have to put up with literally the worst quality video I've uploaded since 2014, but on the plus side, you get the added excitement of watching me fail to hold the Vita in frame at all times, the occasional reflection of me in the screen, and if you're really lucky, you might even get to see a bit of my thumb. Ain't that exciting? Welcome to Port Patrol, a show where I look at weird, interesting, or knockoff ports of video games, and today we're taking a look at another game that's not technically a port but for all intents and purposes might as well be, the legendarily bad Black Ops Declassified. Truth be told, I think I was just as excited to play this game as you guys were for me to cover it. After hearing so much about it but never playing it myself, it felt like I was holding something from a myth or a legend. I was playing the Black Ops Declassified, and I could finally see what was so wrong with it for myself. Although I think what surprised me the most was how it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be broken and barely playable, but if there's one thing you can compliment this game for, and let's be honest, it is pretty much the one thing you can, is that the gameplay is surprisingly solid. There is no better way to put it than it plays identically to Black Ops, just with a slightly altered control scheme to make it work on a Vita. The guns feel as they should, the movement feels as it should, I mean, what can I say? Gameplay wise, this is the closest to console quality we have gotten from a handheld Call of Duty game. Good gameplay is nothing without good levels, and oh boy does this game not have those. It honestly feels laughable to call these levels. They're more like rooms, which even then is a stretch, because I think it would actually take me longer to walk from one side of my room to the other than it does to finish one of these levels. The game is hilariously short. So short I honestly couldn't capture enough footage to last this entire video. So if you see any repeated footage, well, that's why. I know I'm ragging on it a lot here, but if they didn't want me making fun of how short their game is, then maybe they shouldn't have put a literal timer in the bottom of my screen. According to my finish times, the longest, relatively speaking that is, it took me to finish a level was 5 minutes. Now, I have nothing against shorter missions like this. Honestly, I think for a portable game, the idea of loading it up and being able to play for like 10 minutes while still making meaningful progress is a good thing. However, that only works when you have lots of short levels. Not 11 of them. I finished this game in just over 30 minutes. Was this game even finished? Did they forget to make the rest of it? Or was this the actual intended product? It can't be, surely. Watching this video, you've probably noticed how much like Black Ops this game is graphically. Like, it really looks like Black Ops. Suspiciously like Black Ops, one could even go as far to say. Well, I guess the developers of this game, not content with doing almost no work on the game's campaign mode, also didn't feel like working on any of the game's assets. The guns are identical, the sound effects are identical, the soundtrack is identical. I'm honestly surprised they even bothered to get the voice actors to record new lines. The levels entirely consist of locations featured in Black Ops, so they could get away with using those too. I would honestly go as far to say that there wasn't a single new asset made for this entire game. But it wasn't just Black Ops they ripped assets from either, because for whatever reason they also included the PP90M1 from Modern Warfare 3, which is a gun perhaps most notable for not being invented until more than 10 years after the events of this game. Why did they include this? Normally I don't like shitting on the developers of the games I review, because when it comes down to it, they're still people and they probably gave it their best. But when it comes to this game, I really don't feel like they gave it their best, you know? They literally didn't have to make a single asset for this game, yet they gave so little shits about their work they couldn't be bothered to make enough levels to last more than 30 minutes. Honestly, they can get fucked. Although they'd probably like that because at least then they don't have to do any work. You might have gathered by now that Black Ops Declassified isn't a very good game. It comes close to being alright, but that's because of Treyarch, and not the actual developers of this game. Although, as much as the single player campaign blows ass, I will admit that there are two aspects of this game I like. Two aspects that almost save this game. Two aspects that almost make it worth owning. The first is the online multiplayer, which people still play, I guess? I mean, it's not like I can judge right now, I am one of them. When you get away from the laziness of the developers and just have to fight other people, it actually becomes quite fun, what can I say? It's just Call of Duty multiplayer but on a smaller scale. A much smaller scale. Like a really, really small scale. The maps are so tiny that not even Nuketown could escape from having half of its map cut out. Not gonna lie, Nuke House doesn't have the same ring to it. The result of this are incredibly tight maps, which while being nothing special, they at least serve their purpose, and their small size ensures you will always run into people to kill very quickly. I'm not quite sure why it runs so awfully, seeing that the maps are so tiny that Shipment from Call of Duty 4, which for whatever reason makes an appearance here, can be considered one of the biggest maps available. But once you adapt to it and don't take it too seriously, there can be some enjoyment to be had here, which is certainly more than can be said for the single player campaign. The second aspect is this game's version of survival mode from Modern Warfare 3, and yes, I am almost entirely sure they went for a survival mode and not a zombies mode because the zombie mode would have meant actually putting effort into this game. It's not really anything special, it's just the multiplayer maps where waves of enemies come to try and kill you, but hey, it lasts longer than 30 minutes, so at least it has that going for it. One thing it does do very well is highlight how awful the AI in this game is. Somehow their pathfinding is so bad that if they spawn on the opposite side of these tiny maps, they still can't figure out how to get to you, so they just freeze in place until you come and put them out of their misery. Actually, yeah, you know what, this mode kinda sucks too. Black Ops Declassified was not as bad as I expected it to be, although really that isn't saying much. Underneath all the shitty and lazy decisions made by the developers, there is solid Call of Duty gameplay. but it's the exact same gameplay you can get from literally any other Call of Duty game, and while those cost £4, Declassified costs $15. There is absolutely no reason why you should buy this game, unless of course your name is Alex and you wanted to make a YouTube video about it, but seeing that I'm pretty sure you aren't me, do yourself a favour and avoid this game.